Just a brief announcement of my intentions so that you may know and understand straight from me the source of my intentions. Over my experience of life to this point, all of my writings are lost and destroyed. Possessions and material objects are always taken or left behind. Occasionally I will look back and think whatever the vehicle of my loss is or was. I could imagine the pile of things lost to time would exceed any space I lawfully possess. So as the source always causes to become, through this device which both rots the mind and distorts molecular structure, a sort of compilation of quality you may judge for oneself is made manifest. In this seeming physical reality, we find beliefs and ideologies with elements of separate spiritual existence. The law of existence in our reality is that one must manifest. An unmanifested spirit has no causal effect in a physical reality. All physically manifested spirits have causal effects on other manifested spirits. All creatures, which is all creations, have a conscious existence due to this spirit. The smallest virus or bacteria can impact not only man, elephants, whales, but also the earth, as each in its own way impacts the blade of grass. Ancient inhabitants from the time before manifest creation continually exist. Their effect on creation manifest is seen in modern times as possessive parasites. One member of a species can be beneficial while another a total drain. Let us not limit our idea of species either. We need to stop limiting ourselves. Labeling this as that and that as this is a method of the newspeak coming from Pharaoh's descendants as a last-ditch effort to stop some of us from getting into the general population. Just last night a black man was ready to argue Egyptians were black. They were, and copper and fair-skinned and Asiatic. Their head was elongated. Due to inbreeding, it was customary that the rulers were feeble and the priestly class kept order by maintaining a slave class captured by Pharaoh's armies. Egyptians were already a mixed nation of peoples by 5000 BC. By the time the Egyptians' royal blood lineage transferred to the Greeks in antiquity, Egypt had been saturated by foreign nationals, slaves. My point is that because of this man's conditioning, he is trapped in strong feelings of a non-issue. Knowing the race of ancient Egyptians has only an illusory satisfaction that only the ego enjoys. A true spiritual breakthrough in hope is not achieved by satisfying the ego. It is achieved by involving ourselves in activities of love and hope. Pharaoh and the priest's wisdom easily veil our understanding by presenting us with static options of duality, white or black, good or bad, happy or sad, pain or pleasure, sin or saint. Ready to argue race with a seeming white man, he blinds himself not only to the control the king of Tyre has on him, but to the descended lineage of that devil Pharaoh, which knows no race but those with Pharaoh's blood and then the slave nations. Should the good Creator not make manifest the physical hobgoblin hollow, the principles of hope and love formed in the dark recesses of the hollow will shadow the false religions claiming to be beacons of light. From out of the darkness we are watched, our hearts are weighed and measured, and the whispers of our Creator guide us into grace. Words of men, these no different, inspired and abused. Do not trust the words, trust what you experience and hope. Love one another as yourselves. Is it not the practice of even the hobgoblin to love the hobgoblin? Why would man practice any other form of civil social being? Like a dog that returns to its own vomit is a man who repeats folly. One need only transform that hate and anger into its pure form by way of hope to experience the madness required to complete what we will identify as prize demagogue. This is why oppressed and abused peoples will have a ready comprehension of these things. Some already consciously witnessing choose to stay in situations that are not beneficial in the ideas of civil man, absolutely ruinous in some cases, but it is what these choose to experience. That is one open secret. We have this ability to choose what we think. All of the saints, prophets, and celestials have shared one truth with us. We as ourselves have this ability to think for ourselves. Beyond this, the saints, prophets, and celestials begin their intent of conditioning. They come as shampoo to cleanse your spirit and use conditioner to make it look healthy and shiny. Only eventually, if it is not truly healthy, pieces of your spirit will fall out, leaving room for more products to cover up the patches. Love one another as you love yourselves. There's no higher state of being. True attainment of peace within is a messy business when navigating through the various paths presented to us, any of which could in its own way progress your spiritual awareness. To gain a pure awareness, one need only look within. Prayer I like to think of as the without, and meditation I think of as the within. And insight can be understood while working, jogging, vegetating in front of the television, anywhere. We are not limited by places or things if it is not necessary to possess tools to acquire understanding. A conscious witness exists in a constant state of meditation. The practice of meditating on the space existing between thoughts becomes a state of awareness that is pure consciousness. Love replaces hope as our practice. We meditate on a flower to know its petals and leaves and know its physical workings. We meditate on pure consciousness, the space between thoughts, to know the flower's needs and wants. So as we meditate on the flower, we see it as we would like it to be, never considering the flowering plant has its own intentions. That is why we consciously witness. Should truly there exist an abomination of abominations, it is the disrespectful nature of our relationship with the fellow spiritual inhabitants of the manifest creation. By recognizing ourselves as this individual living this life, we feed our own ego and make it feel good. A feeling within will also exist that something is missing. The ego exists following blinds and filters that are our conditioning. This conditioning is resultant of accumulated impressions our ego has acquired for itself. So these self-dealing egos of ours controlling our daily lives with fears and disappointments. The ego labels everything and limits our ability to emphasize with our fellow beings. This ego is both a destructive force and a creative force. The reason we consciously witness is to rid our ego of conditioning. The false impressions our egos acquire for itself are one by one seen as they are. New understandings of these impressions are observed, and then the limited impressions are removed from our conditioning. We know from scripture that to exorcise one demon creates room for 7 more. In this understanding, we make ourselves aware that we control our own thoughts. We consciously witness to choose our own demons or our own angels. We choose our own heaven or hell, whatever our hope may be. We consciously witness to recognize everything and everyone as ourselves. Conscious witnesses exist whether one believe it or not. Witnesses have no need to be confirmed, or only the ego needs proofs and confirmations. And this is why the ego leads us into second guessing ourselves. The ego proliferates doubt. We allow ourselves to limit ourselves. One practice we can do anytime anger, despair, depression may arise from within us is to change our mind how we feel. Take a moment and remember who you truly are. We do not need an ego to protect us. If one chooses to believe the world is shit, that same one could look at the same world choosing to see it as beautiful. A dangerous natural world to one is an amazing system that same person, should they choose to change their ego's ideas of things. We will learn more of meditation and prayer as we progress in conscious witnessing. Its mastery is a gift to us from the source, just as meditation is a gift to us from the revelator. Of course, our ego will fight us and make us doubt we are meditating correctly. Instead of focusing on that space between thoughts, our egos will flood us with more thoughts, more ideas filtered through our conditioning. This is normal. We all experience this internal battle over time. As we practice conscious witnessing, the period in time in which we experience that space will gradually increase until one day you come to realize daily life is now experienced in a state of meditation. Pure thoughts become our insights. Thank you for visiting my channel. Please subscribe.